Hello, welcome back. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. Today we're reading more Clash of Kings and I'm so excited. Guys, I was editing our book vlog that's going to get posted on YouTube today and realized I didn't have an intro for it. So don't mind the attire, okay? This is my editing fit. But at the end of the day, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. This is all I've got for the intro. There's early access to these on Patreon. We are doing weekly book vlogs on the Patreon, and then once a month on YouTube, I am just combining all of those weekly ones and then posting them for you guys. So if you guys would like early access, it's on the Patreon, but if not, we will still be posting these once a month. And like and subscribe, feel up to it, besties. But let's read our book. We're on to Arya. Also, there's a picture again. I'm pretty sure that's Lamy, isn't it? Ooh. So they made it out. I was worried that they were gonna like come out of that little like hiding hole they had and there was gonna be guys waiting for them, but they made it out. They've been like traveling. And everything they've been finding has been empty. That's crazy. Damn. Arya said, if it could burn, the Lannisters had burned it. If it could die, they killed it. That's crazy. So the Lannisters are just wreaking havoc right now. Aw, they had even set the woods ablaze. They decided to like circle back to the holdfast. Damn. Everyone's dead. Does that mean even... I want to say Jory. Is it Jory? I'm getting the names mixed up. Guys, there's too many names in my head right now. It's kind of crazy because it's like, I love experiencing new things on the channel, but right now I have Lord of the Rings in my head. I have Game of Thrones in my head. I have Breaking Bad in my head. And then I also have Severance in my head. So I have like all these names. I feel like this means something, but it's not clicking for me. Gendry said, they killed everyone. And dogs have been at them too. Someone said, or wolves. Dogs, wolves, it makes no matter. Interesting. Oh, Yoren. It's not Jory, it's Yoren. No, Yoren's dead. The axe blow that had killed him had split his skull apart, but the great tangled beard could be no one else's. That's so sad. They didn't even like get to see how he died. They just found his body. Damn. The corpses of 4 Lannister men-at-arms were heaped near Yoren. Arya wondered how many it had taken to bring him down. Rest in peace, Yoren. You were a homie. Aw, sweet Arya. She said he was gonna take me home, she thought, as they dug his grave. Arya insisted they bury him. I can't. He was gonna bring me safe to Winterfell, he promised. Part of her wanted to cry, the other part wanted to kick him. Arya has this like weird grief to her. It's very like human grief where she like has grief and then she also has anger mixed in it. And it like happens every time. Like it brings me back to when the castle was a mess and she was like really upset with that guard and she like started kicking him. She like has so much anger in her grief and I like love that about her. Arya's like still clinging on to hope that she'll make it to Winterfell. Yikes. There's like a little village that they've found, but Arya isn't sure if it's like safe or not. Ooh. We're like right by the God's Eye. That's so cool. Arya felt as though the lake were calling to her. Why? That's interesting. What the hell? Arya's walking barefoot right now. That's so sad. Guys, I love Arya's chapters. Like, I think her chapters are some of my favorites. But she's like looking at the God's Eye right now and there's like these 3 black swans. And she's like wanting to be a swan. Like she like yearns to be them out of like all this conflict and this mess. Like she just wants to be a swan. That's so fair, Arya. Then she said the other part wanted to eat one. Damn. Arya's eating bugs. Hey, gotta do what you gotta do to survive, girl. We lost Kurz. That's so sad. It's so sad that these like group of kids basically are like on the road trying to survive. And if one of them has an injury and they die, they die. That's so scary. Damn. So Cutjack and Tarber had like taken all of Kurz's stuff and then just like left them. That's terrible. Not them using animal sounds. So we're looking at this fishing village, but someone's there. We still have the little girl with her. We've named her Weasel. That's a choice. Arya hopes she hadn't been eating mud again. I'm weak. Aww. Weasel's like connected to Arya. She keeps like hugging Arya's leg. Not if we yielded. Child. Oh, no way. So they're having to carry Lamy as they travel because of his like leg injury. He said we have to yield. That's what Yoren should have done. He should have opened the gates like they said. They would have killed you all. Arya's like a mother to this little girl. That's so crazy. She's like talking to Gendry about like their plan with this fishing village, if they'll like give them fish or whatever. And she said she tugged at the weasel's matted hair thinking it might be best to hack it off. She's like a little mother. Of course. Arya said there's crows down by the water. Something's dead there. Arya, something's gonna be dead wherever you go, babes. Worm breath. Lamy's so annoying. He's like, we should yield, carry me everywhere. And then he's like, I'm hungry. If it wasn't for my leg, I'd hunt us some boar. Okay, Lamy. Aww. Arya's thinking of Ned and how he used to hunt boar. Arya said Gendry looks pained when he's thinking, like it hurt him something fierce. Interesting. They're like trying to decide. They're trying to like sneak into this fishing village right now. And Gendry is like saying he's gonna go, and then Arya was like, I've got it, like I'm sneakier than you. And Gendry gets this like look on his face, and then he's like, we'll both go. I think Gendry has like grown to care for Arya. He doesn't want her to go alone. Ooh. We're getting like closer and closer to the wolves. That's crazy. She just like stayed awake the night before listening to the wolves. Oh my gosh, Lamy's so annoying. He said, whoever it is, you should yield to them. I need some potion for my leg. Lamy, it doesn't work like that in war times, buddy. I will say I do really like Arya and Gendry in the book so far. Like, I feel like their bond is it's a lot more personal. Gendry said he thinks Lamy's gonna die. Probably. Sweet Arya. She said Maester Luwin would have helped anyone who came to him, she was certain. I don't know. That's the weird thing is like they have such a High Lord perspective because that's what they were raised in. But would Maester Luwin actually help Lamy if it came down to it? You never know. Damn. Gendry's a little like, I wouldn't call him ruthless, but I would say He doesn't have time for nonsense. He's talking about like potentially leaving Lami behind because he's just like holding them up. Survival of the fittest. He wants to leave the little girl too. Okay, Gendry, chill. Tea. Gendry said, "You're the only one of the bunch who's good for anything, even if you are a girl." Gendry said, "If you're not a girl, you must be some eunuch." Arya said, "You're a eunuch." Damn, Gendry. He said, "You know I'm not. You want me to take out and prove it? I don't have anything to hide." Gendry's bold with it. This conversation makes so much more sense to me, where it's not like a random conversation. Like, Arya's sitting here thinking about the dangers of Gendry knowing and like how screwed she is, and having to realize like Gendry really is the only one she can trust with this. And he basically already knows, so she might as well like be honest. Aw, she even contemplated killing him. I'm happy she didn't, or didn't try to. It's basically that or trust him, and I mean, it is Gendry. He's very observant. That's crazy. Gendry's like freaking out because she's like a highborn lady. She has no shoes on, ragged clothes, hasn't showered in like months. Damn, Arya said she never was a lady. I love Gendry. Okay, y'all, listen. I wasn't the biggest fan of Gendry and Arya in season 8 because I just wasn't expecting it. We were in the middle of war times. There was a lot going on. Okay, whatever. But I will say Gendry and Arya in the book definitely have like some type of chemistry, even if it's only like platonic. And I know they're young, so it's like it's most likely just platonic, but like there's definitely some really cute chemistry between the two of them, and I absolutely love it. And he's like laughing with her and joking with her right now as they like walk to this fishing village, and it's just like precious. Big surprise. We're getting closer and it smells like death. Guys, what if Arya herself is the god of death? Let me cook. That's all I have to say. I'm just kidding. I haven't figured out the rest yet. Gendry said, "If you need help, bark like a dog." She said, "That's stupid. If I need help, I'll shout help." Like, I love these two. Y'all, I think Gendry likes her. They're like about to part ways right now in this little fishing village. And she glanced back at him and he was watching her with that pained look on his face that meant he was thinking. He's probably thinking that he shouldn't be letting Milady go stealing food. I think he's thinking about how much he cares about her. Oh no. So right by the God's Eye, this is trippy. Right by the God's Eye, there is a lot of men who have been hung. Hanged? Hung? I never know. But do we remember earlier, like 10 pages ago, when Arya said that the God's Eye was calling to her? That's weird. Ugh. These men have been like brutalized. This is weird. She's like looking at these men. She's like making herself look at them. And she's telling herself that she's hard as stone. And that just makes me think of Kat because she like also compares herself to like having a heart of stone. Poor Arya. She's just sitting here like looking at these dead men and she says, "Dead men could not hurt her, but whoever had killed them could." And this just seems like such an obvious like no duh, but at the same time like Arya's so young, and I feel like if any of us were to see an image like that, like we would immediately be like terrified and run away. But for like such a young girl to be able to like stand there and be like, "This isn't gonna hurt me, but whoever did this will," like that just shows like how intellectual she is. She has a very good survival instinct. Damn. She like sees these flags and she can't like decipher what the banner is. And she said, I don't need to see the lion. I can see all the dead people. Who else would it be but Lannisters? That's crazy. No way. Wait, is this Gendry or is it Lami? They have a captive with the bull's head horns. But maybe like they found Lami or something. Why is he wearing his helm? Oh, nah. They're just keeping a bunch of people in this like building and they just threw Gendry in there. Oh my gosh. Arya heard sobbing from inside the building and then a shriek so loud and full of pain that it made her bite her lip. Y'all. Arya and Bran are the two that are like most heavily connected to the gods, and it is so trippy. She said, just then a breath of wind came sighing off the lake and the banner stirred and lifted. It's like the God's Eye is like very heavily connected to Arya. And for some reason, like they really want her to hate the Lannisters. Like they want her to like symbolize all of this death and this pain with the Lannisters. Because why would wind come off of the God's Eye lifting the Lannister banners right when Arya's like upset? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That was calculated. Ooh. The other banner has dogs. The Hounds family? Does that mean the mountain's here? Oh, this is so cool. I kind of want Arya to like stay here forever. There's like the God's Eye, then there's the forest with wolves. It's like perfect for her. Oh, that's so crazy. So it is Gendry that they got. Because she just went up to Lami and Hot Pie. Why is Gendry wearing his helm thingy? But I mean, she did say when they were walking in that he was like walking too loudly for her liking or something like that. So he's obviously not as quiet as her because she just perfectly snuck up on Lami and Hot Pie. Oh, Arya said we have to get him out. Oh my gosh, Lami. He said we should yield. Lami, they're gonna kill you. Not them saying let's leave Gendry. It's so crazy because it's like you think that them going through all of this together would build some type of loyalty, but Lami especially is just so focused on like his survival and him being okay, and it's just so annoying. I can't blame him. That's just annoying. Arya said, I don't care what you say, I'm going back for him. Period, Arya. Lami said, what if the wolves come? Arya said, yield. I love Arya. Aww. Arya's such a gem. She's so intelligent for her age. She's like taking Hot Pie in and she's warning him that there's like all these dead men hanging. And I feel like, I don't know, if it were me, I wouldn't even think about warning Hot Pie about that. So the fact that she's like so aware of her surroundings and so aware of other people that she's like, hey, in about 2 minutes, you're going to see dead bodies. Don't freak out. Like, that's crazy. She's so intelligent. No way. Hot Pie, what are you doing? He just immediately like yielded. Also, that's weird. That's really weird timing. They're like sitting there waiting and then like a crow randomly lands on Hot Pie's back. Spooky tree guy, are you watching us? Hot Pie. I mean, Arya can't fight all these men by herself. She's cooked. Damn. I just knocked her in the head. Poor Arya. She said they took Needle. The shame of that hurt worse than the pain, and the pain hurt a lot. John had given her that sword. Sirio had taught her how to use it. Poor Arya. No way, the mountain is here. Damn. She saw the mountain, she knew she was cooked. Damn. They're taking them to Lamy right now. Oh my gosh. He immediately yielded. They hadn't even walked all the way over yet. Ooh. Weasel ran off. She's gonna come back at some point. Maybe the wolves will raise her. She likes Arya. That's the most like crackhead thing I've said in this like whole week, but it just fits. I feel like that would work. Oh, I hope the Weasel girl is okay. Ooh, they want to find Dondarrion. Oh, Lamy's cooked. Damn. Arya said Lamy never even had time to yield again. He jerked once and that was all. Damn. We were doing so good too. That's so disappointing. Y'all, I love Arya's chapters because they're so different from the show, but then on top of that, like, you just get so many little comments from Arya, from like the gods, from the wolves, from death. Like, there's so much mixed into Arya's chapters that it's so trippy. And I feel like the God's Eye and literally every chapter with Arya this book, like, there's been death in it somehow, which is insane to me. But I feel like that is going to come full circle, and I don't know where Arya's story is going to go in the books, and that's where I'm like kind of confused. Is I'm like, okay, where does Arya like actually end up? Because I don't know if the whole like Bravos plot is in the books. I kind of don't want to know. I want it to be secret. But it just leads me to like, there's definitely a connection with Arya and death, and it's, I don't know if there's like a god of death that's like purposefully guiding her, or if she is like the god of death herself. But there's definitely something with Arya and the God of Death, because it's every chapter. It's insane. And then also like them getting caught up is a bummer, because I was kind of hoping that that plot was like just a show plot, and I was like really eager to see where we would go from here. But we did go on a few side quests. It's crazy that we're right next to the God's Eye, but I'm really interested to see what happens. Like, do we go to Harrenhal from here? Or what's going to happen? And also, I feel like Gendry's plot is like up in the air too, because I'm like, what's going to happen with Gendry? And I'm nervous. I don't know. Don't hurt my girl Arya, y'all. Don't hurt my girl Arya. Okay, y'all, we're on to Tyrion. What are we dressing warmly for? We're in a like cellar vault thingy again. Always underground with Tyrion. Ooh. They were somewhere under the hill of Rhaenys, behind the guild hall of the alchemists. So the alchemists still have like a guild hall, like a place? Oh, is it wildfire day? We're gonna go look at the wildfire? Oh, that's crazy. The like pottery that it's in is like super thin, and if you squeeze it hard enough, it'll like crush it, and then you die. That's smart. Is it Helen, the pyromancer? He said that a smooth pot is more apt to slip from a man's grasp. Very smart. Ooh. Oh, that's crazy. So if it's cold, then it's like thick, kind of like really thick oil. And then when it's hot, it's like runny. Celeste, why are you crying? I love that they call each other Wisdom. That's so crazy that the alchemists are like not really a thing anymore. Like there's only a few people left who are alchemists. That would be like such a cool field to be in. My little baby hairs. So the author is really calling out Thoros of Myr. This is like the third time that Thoros of Myr has been mentioned with his flaming sword and how he has to like swap out his sword afterwards. And we also had a conversation with, I think it was Salador, who was like, if you're using the true like Lightbringer sword, then it doesn't like burn up your sword. Like your sword is fine. So Thoros genuinely is doing magic tricks or like coating fire in his blade or something. Like it's not authentic, because this is like the third or fourth comment where Tyrion thought Thoros always needed a new sword after a melee, but Robert had been fond of the man and ever glad to provide one. So he's not actually like peak. He's just putting fire on his sword. I mean, maybe he still is peak, but he's tricking everybody. Oh, that's sick. So they still have the older pots from King Aerys's time. That's crazy. And they're like more powerful than ever. Like they like age and then they get, it's like fermenting it basically. Only last year 200 jars were discovered in a storeroom beneath the Great Sept of Baelor. Crazy. Ooh. They removed them. So Cersei blowing up the Sept wouldn't really have happened unless she like put all of that wildfire back down there, but they removed those wildfire jars. That's so crazy. We're like literally playing with bombs right now. Oh, that's insane. They have 7,840 jars of wildfire right now. The pyromancers keep their recipe for wildfire a closely guarded secret. Let's learn it. Ooh. That's so cool. They have like a whole system. So they're like in this like underground tunnel that's like very cold. And then they have a room of sand on top. And then they also have protective spells that have been laid on the floor, which is interesting. And they're like super powerful. And so if any of these go off, then the floor like collapses and the sand like buries it. That's insane. Tyrion wants to see it happen. That's so funny. Tyrion wants to take a few like empty jars. Oh, that's crazy. I kind of forgot that King Aerys's hand was part of the like alchemist guild. Ooh. The pyromancer said, Joffrey will be interested as well, I have no doubt. Tyrion thought, which is why I'd keep him well away from you. Can you imagine Joffrey with wildfire in his hands? That would be insane. Very smart, Tyrion. Tyrion has called for like no more feasts until the war is won because people are starving, but he's saying like Joffrey called for it. Very smart. That's crazy. Tyrion said, he's talking about Joffrey, he said he had no intention of allowing the boy to taste the possibilities of burning them alive. Yeah, don't tell Joffrey about this. Ooh, the Gallery of the Iron Torches. This is so cool. Why didn't we get to see this? It's like this like long room with columns of green fire dancing around black metal columns. That's insane. So they really have like this whole structure just for them. Yikes. Tyrion said another mob had gathered at the gates. The small folk are definitely not happy. What the hell? Joffrey had unleashed a storm of arrows against them, slaying 4, then shouted down that they had his leave to eat their dead. Something is wrong with Joffrey, y'all. Uh-oh, Cersei's summoning Tyrion. We're roasting Lancel. Bronn said 4 hairs on his lip and he thinks he's a man. Damn. Tyrion's so fun. He said the longer Cersei waits, the angrier she'll become, and anger makes her stupid. Very true. Ooh. The messenger from Robb is here. Tea. Sir Cleo said, it's bad in the Riverlands, Tyrion, around the God Eye and the King's Road especially. And that's right where Arya is. That's crazy. They're like talking about everything that's happening and Tyrion's like, remind me to thank the gods that I was born a Lannister, because the small folk are like just brutalized in war. And Arya's literally right in the mix of all of that right now. Tyrion said, the boy doesn't want too much, only half the realm, the release of our captives, hostage, his father's sword, oh yeah, and his sisters. Uh-oh. While Robb is at Riverrun, his like strength is growing less and less each day because the River Lords keep kind of like fraying off. No pun intended. His poor messenger wants like his brother to be exchanged, and Tyrion was like, no. Well, at least Tyrion was honest with him, because some people would be like, oh, we could try. But Tyrion kept it real. This is the fun thing. We kind of get to see like the fruits of Tyrion putting his men in certain places. Is he just promoted this Kingsguard guy, and the guy who came, the messenger who came, Cleos I think his name is, Cleos came with a letter for Cersei, but because Tyrion has men in place and because the Kingsguard guy is his, then he was the one who got called instead of Cersei. And it just shows like the power of having men in certain places. And then it makes me think of Littlefinger, and like of course Littlefinger knows all of his information because he has men in like 10 times more places. It's so crafty. I love it. Oh, that's what he's doing with the pots. So he's having them fill the pots with green paint and then giving them to like the men, and then if they drop them, they're out. I will say though, like I know Robb sent a lot of terms and I know he's young, but I also feel like Robb knew what he was doing by sending that many terms. So then I'm just sitting here because I kind of can't remember that long ago what Robb's plan is from this, because I think he knows that that term letter is going to get rejected. You know what I mean? So I'm like, what is his plan with this? Is he just trying to distract them? And then where's he going to go from there? I don't know, guys. I can't remember that far ago, okay? But Tyrion's kind of capitalizing on this because he thinks that Robb genuinely believes that this letter is going to be accepted. So he's just waiting at Riverrun. But I feel like that's not Robb's plan. He's playing another game here. That's interesting. I don't know. Tyrion is kind of a lot like Tywin. They're so similar, but I feel like Tyrion and Tywin are both still kind of like underselling Robb, and they still view Robb as like this child who's going to be very easily defeated. And Tyrion's main focus is still Stannis and Renly. But I feel like Robb still has something crafted up, you know? So I'm like, I think it's interesting that Tyrion and Tywin are so quick to kind of like dismiss Robb. Ooh, there's someone like called a begging brother? Is that what we call them, or is that what they're like actually called? Oh, that's crazy. This guy is like talking to the crowds with like Aegon's high hill directly behind him and then the comet as well. That's insane. Ooh. So he's talking ish on the royal family. And then on top of that, he's calling out the High Septon for being not a High Septon, basically. That's interesting because I feel like the High Septon drama wasn't really brought up till like later. So for it to be coming up so soon is very interesting because I think that's like the second comment about the High Septon being like not great. Yikes. Tyrion's thinking about the High Septon. He said, a pious man who worships the seven so fervently that he eats a meal for each of them whenever he sits to the table. Uh-oh. Cersei's here and she's mad. Oh, she found out about the Myrcella plot. Damn. Tyrion's crazy for that. He said, some would say that she is born for this, or did you plan to marry her to Tommen? Oh, she smacked him. Rightfully so. That's a crazy comment, especially knowing like how much they hate the Targaryens, and then her and Jaime, oh my gosh, I forgot his name. That whole mess, like that's an insane comment. Ooh, that's interesting. So, House Martell just recently started hating the Lannisters because of everything that happened with Elia. But the Dornishmen have always like warred against Storm's End and Highgarden for like thousands of years. So for them to pair up with Renly is like a really big deal. So Tyrion really thinks he could capitalize off of this. That's very smart. Damn. Cersei said she would be a hostage. Tyrion said she would be an honored guest. I suspect Martell will treat Myrcella more kindly than Joffrey has treated Sansa. That's crazy. Oh, and he's also sending Sir Aerys with her. I can't remember. Is Sir Aerys the one that Sansa didn't like? Or is Sir Aerys the one she does like? Can't remember. There's too many of them. I mean, Tyrion's low-key genius for this plan. Like, not only is Myrcella gonna be safe in Dorne, but it also bridges that alliance a little bit because it's rocky. Tyrion, chill with the comments. He said, what would you have offered him? The hole between your legs? Tyrion! Yeah, you deserve that slap too. Sorry. Ooh. He said, that was the last time you will ever strike me. Sibling drama. Aw, Cersei started crying and Tyrion said, Tyrion Lannister could not have been more astonished if Aegon the Conqueror himself had burst into the room riding on a dragon juggling lemon pies. That's crazy. She really loves Myrcella for her to be like crashing out so much. Aww. He like tried to like touch her shoulder and she said like don't touch me, and then it like really made him sad. Poor Tyrion. He said it hurt more than any slap. That's so sad. I will say, I think Cersei, I don't know if it's because she's like in her anger right now, but she's not as bright in the books. And I think like we just earlier had like a moment with Tyrion where he was reflecting on what Tywin's plan is right now and what Robb is doing. Like he's really like putting the pieces together. He's like, oh, this is what my father has planned. Like he's like figuring it all out. And Cersei's sitting here like complaining that Tywin's just like sitting in Harrenhal. And she said that it looks like he's hiding. She's just really, she's not as bright. She might just be angry too. Damn. Cersei said, if it was father who had been taken captive, Jaime would not be sitting by idly, I promise you. I mean, yeah, Jaime would probably like charge headfirst into battle and then get himself captured too, so. There's a method to the madness, Cersei. There she goes again, talking about Renly. She's real worried about Renly. Tyrion's like talking her through the Tywin plans and like how he's like perfectly positioned. And Cersei said, how could you know all this? Did father tell you his intentions? No, Cersei. Cersei, babes. He said, no, I looked at a map. Crazy. I love Tyrion chapters. I like all the chapters, but I mean, Tyrion is really fun because he's like our glimpse into King's Landing. And it's just so fun seeing like how much work he puts in as Hand. Like, it's not like he's just sitting there talking to Bronn. Like, he's constantly doing something in his chapters, whether it's with Varys, whether it's with Bronn, whether it's with Cersei. Like, he's constantly making moves and preparing. And it's just like so entertaining to watch because he just has such a crafty mind. And it's like one chapter he's planning with Varys on how to like create stronger alliances. The next chapter he's like working on the wildfire and like settling down Cersei. Like, it's so interesting. I love Tyrion's chapters. We're on to Bran. Aww. Bran like rides into the hall and like everybody's there shouting Winterfell and Stark. And it like made him like super proud, and he said for as long as it took him to ride the length of the hall, he forgot that he was broken. Poor Bran. Dang. Rickon's hair's gotten real long. This is crazy. He like rides in there, he greets everybody, he like says his stuff, and then he's just like drinking wine. He's like so accustomed to like being Lord now. He said his wine was sweetened with honey, fragrant with cinnamon and cloves, stronger than what he was used to. Cute Bran, he's like a whole Lord now. Wow. Winterfell's eating crazy. It's so interesting because we have like King's Landing and everything where they're like very short on food, and then we go over to King's Landing and Bran literally has a whole page of him just listing like all the other foods that they're eating right now. Okay, 2 pages of food now. Bran still doesn't like the phrase. Bran said Arya would never marry one of them. Very true. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that was a thing. Bran said the serving men brought every dish to Bran first that he might take the Lord's portion if he chose. So every time food is brought out, the like Lord gets like the first pick of the food. That's cool. Interesting. And then when he doesn't want any more food, he like sends it out to other people as like a gesture of friendship. Oh, Bran is so cute. He sent like a few things out to other lords, but then he sent one to Joseph, the master of horse, because he was like helping train Dancer with like Bran's saddle. That's so stinking precious. He also sent them to Hodor and Old Nan. Bran would be such a good lord. Like if he was like truly Lord of Winterfell, like I really think he would do so well. I mean, he already is, but like at long term, you know what I mean? Bran said he watched them from a distance as if he still sat in the window of his bedchamber, seeing everything yet a part of nothing. I feel like that's such a huge foreshadow to like where his story is gonna go. He's just always, he's such a watcher. Like he's never really like a part of it. Ooh. Did he just like connect with his direwolf? He's like sitting in this room and he's like, it's so hot, it's so stuffy, like I want to get out of here. And then out of nowhere, he's like, it's cool in the godswood. Steam is rising off the hot pools. The red leaves of the weirwood are rustling. The smells are richer than here, and before long, the moon will rise and my brother will sing to it. And I feel like that's his direwolf because I feel like the last time we were in his direwolf's head, he referred to Rickon's wolf as brother. Bran's like reflecting on the last time like his whole family was in this hall, and he said, now they're all gone. It was as if some cruel god had reached down with a great hand and swept them all away. The gods are evil. That's so sad. He's just like sitting here looking at all these people and being like, I wonder how many of these people are gonna be dead next time, like next year. That's crazy. The Stark kids have like such a morbid view on life. I mean, naturally, after all the stuff they're going through right now, but they're so morbid. Like they just look at everybody and they're like, who's gonna die next? Oh, Mira's here. And Jojen. Frog eaters. That's so crazy. Aww. Sir Roderick said, Howland Reed was a great friend to your father. These two are his, it would seem. That's wild. They just like walked in. Aw, they're here to like pledge fealty to the Stark House. Ooh. They said, I swear it by earth and water, I swear it by bronze and iron, we swear it by ice and fire. That's sick. That reminds me of like the story old Nan told John with the whole like, you know, the whole cryptic story that she talked about. I think it was in the first book. Why do they say we swear it by ice and fire though? That just means that these two are going to be like so much more significant than they were in the show. Why is that their words? That's weird. Bran didn't know what to say. Jojen staring at Bran. Oh, that's crazy. So their people, Mira and Jojen's people, are like seen as cowardly because they hide from their foes and they like poison their weapons. And then Bran is like reflecting on how Howland Reed was like one of his father's like best fighters, somebody he really trusted. But also like I don't feel like that's cowardly. I just feel like that's playing an opponent differently. Jojen's asking about the direwolves. I love it. Aw, that made Bran happy because everybody's like so scared of the wolves. Bran is so cute. He like really tries to think about things from other people's perspectives, and I think that's so cute. Like we have the Frey boys who are like, oh my gosh, they eat frogs, like ew, we can't talk to them. And Bran is like, well, maybe they don't have sheep and cattle and that's why they eat the frogs. Like he's just so curious and he always sees things from other people's perspectives, and I love it. Does Bran like Mira? He said. The girl caught him staring at her and smiled. Bran blushed and looked away. Bran, do you like Mira? Oh, this is so vibey. We just had like a huge feast and now we're just like all dancing and vibing. This looks so fun. I will say in the book, there's like so much more like house connections. Like it's not just like, oh, you're my bannerman, go to war with me. Like they like have dinner together. They go to Winterfell all the time. Like they're always like hanging out with each other, which I think is really sweet. There's definitely like relationships there, which I feel like the show kind of skipped out on a little bit. Oh, we just caught Joseph in the hall. Sorry, King. Not Hodor stopping to watch. Hodor's so cute. Ooh. He's thinking of his conversations with his dad because of the Reed kiddos. And he's thinking of Sir Arthur Dayne, who fought with a blade called Dawn, forged from the heart of a fallen star. What does that mean? Like an actual fallen star? Do we have other type of like magic swords in the mix other than Valyrian steel? I have questions. This is so weird. He's saying, this is like past Ned Stark. He's saying they called him the Sword of the Morning. He would have killed me but for Howland Reed. Father had gotten sad then. I feel like it's not like what was shown in the show. Like I think maybe Howland Reed was able to like stop them, sit them down, have a conversation, because I still feel like Sir Arthur Dayne is alive. And maybe Howland Reed is as well? What's the tea with that? Where is Howland Reed? Oop, Bran's his wolf again. Interesting. So the sounds of like all the people in the feast and, you know, them like having fun, it's making the wolves feel like restless. Mira and Jojen are here. Oh, that's crazy. So Bran and his wolf are kind of like mixing now, where he's in his wolf's head, but his wolf is like having thoughts. I don't know how to explain it. He's like looking at Mira and Jojen through the wolf's eyes, and then he said, the female, Mira. Then he said some part of him whispered, some wisp of the sleeping boy lost in the wolf. So they like can kind of differentiate their thoughts a little bit. So like the wolf knows that that's not his thought, but he knows that that's Mira because of Bran. That's so trippy. Ooh. Jojen said, the black one is full of fear and rage, but the gray is strong, stronger than he knows. And then he said, can you feel him? So does Mira have the gift too? Like maybe not as strong as Jojen's? Oh, that's crazy. Bran's chapters are so fun. Everybody's chapters are so fun. But it's really fun knowing that like Mira and Jojen are here now. I'm really excited to see where that dynamic goes because we didn't get Mira and Jojen until way later in the show. So I think it's really interesting that they showed up to like this feast at Winterfell. And Bran is curious about them and they're curious about Bran. So I feel like that's going to be a really like stronger connection than it was in the show. Because it was kind of sketchy in the show. Like, I was like, who are these people? But now it makes a lot more sense, and especially knowing the tie-in already to like Howland Reed and like Ned Stark, and knowing that they fought together and they were there with the whole Lyanna nonsense, assuming it was the Lyanna nonsense. It's going to be really interesting to like follow that friendship relationship with the Howland Reed background already like in play. So that'll be really interesting. Okay, we're on to Cat. We haven't had a Cat chapter in a while. I feel like all the Starks right now are like dreaming or thinking of like how things used to be. It's so sad. Damn. Cat's going through it right now. She said, I want to weep. I want to be comforted. I'm so tired of being strong. I want to be foolish and frightened for once, just for a small while. That's all. That's so sad. It's like everything has been taken from them and they all have to like lock in or die. It's terrible. Oh, she's on her way to Renly right now. I was like, where are we? Rob sent 20 men with her. That's crazy. This is like flashback convo with Rob and Cat before she left, and Rob said, I cannot sit at River Run waiting for peace. It makes me look as if I am afraid to take the field again. When there are no battles to fight, men start to think of hearth and harvest. Father told me that. Even my Northmen grow restless. And we know that like Rob's been kind of like chomping at the bit to go do something, but Tyrion is assuming that he's just waiting in River Run, scared to like go back into battle, like knowing that he's pinned down. So it's fun getting to see Rob's perspective, because I was like, I feel like there's more to it than that. Like, I feel like Rob has a plan. Oh, that's crazy. They've sent like 4 birds to the Eyrie and they haven't heard anything. Liza, I get she's scared, but like I don't think I could ever do that to like my sister and her children. Like they need help, you know? Like that's terrible. Period, Rob. He said, I said nothing of Harrenhal. Now will you go to Renly for me, or must I send the Great John? I'm trying to remember what Rob's plan is. I can't remember it. Is this when he pulls out the like Lord Frey card? I don't know. I can't remember it. I can't remember where we're at. I feel like it's a little different than it is in the show, so that might be why I'm getting so lost. But I'm like, wait, what is Rob gonna do from here? I don't remember. Not only is she like not with her kids right now, but she also had to leave her father, who's like actively dying. That's so sad. She wrote a letter to Rickon and Bran. That's something. Ooh. They were still half a day's ride from Renly's camp when they were taken. She said she's here from the king in the north to the king in the south. And then the guy that's Sir Colin, that's like finding them, picking them up, you know, whatever. He's like, King Renly is the crowned and anointed lord of all the 7 kingdoms, my lady. Yikes. Damn. Renly's camp is huge. That's insane. There's just like so many people. Kat said near all the chivalry of the South had come to Renly's call. That's wild. Oh my gosh, the Fossaways are here. That's crazy. So not only is there like a ton of people, but it's also like very extravagant and bougie here. And like Renly's war banner is like the biggest war banner she's ever seen. That's insane. And then right in the middle of it is attorney. I love it. Is this Brienne? She said, a roar went up from the crowd as a helmetless red-bearded man with a griffin on his shield went down before a big knight in blue armor. His mount embodied in the quartered sun and moon heraldry of House Tarth. It's Brienne! It has to be Brienne, right? Wouldn't people be like, I need to know the like history on Brienne's house, because if she doesn't have a brother, wouldn't they be like, who the heck is that? Or like a cousin or something? I don't know. I don't know how that works. So this is why Kat made that comment. It wasn't just like a small little tournament. Like it's like, this is like a full-blown tournament. And Kat thought, this is madness. Real enemies on every side and half the realm in flames, and Renly sits here playing at war like a boy. That's crazy. I mean, yeah, that makes a lot more sense now, because she had made that comment in the show, and I was like, why did you make that comment? But now seeing it from this perspective and seeing just like how big and extravagant everything is, it makes a lot more sense. Ooh, Randall Tarley's here. Oh, that's crazy. Kat thought, small wonder that the lords gather around him with such fervor. He is Robert come again. And that brings me back to in the first book when Ned had a conversation with Renly and he was like, it's kind of weird. Renly's trying to be like a mini Robert when he was like talking about Marjorie or whatever. And he pretty much succeeded. Like he's basically another Robert. Like he's like the image of Robert. He has a Tyrell next to him. And then there's the whole like symbolism between like Lyanna and the blue roses versus like Marjorie and her sigil being a rose. Like that's so trippy. He's literally copying King Robert. And that's probably why so many people have like flocked to him, is because he's Robert Part 2. That's crazy. Ooh, so most people favor Loras Tyrell. Okay, I never asked this when we were watching the show, but I was thinking it and I should have asked it. But is Dunk somehow related to Brienne? Because obviously they're both very tall, they're both knights, and I don't know, there's no like lineage that I know of, but I was like, well, what if they are related? Like that'd be kind of sick. And the only reason I was thinking that is because they're just both really tall and good knights. But if they are related somehow, there's this really cool like Easter egg, and I just read it and it's cool. So Brienne is fighting with like 3 other people. I'm assuming it's Brienne. It hasn't been confirmed yet. But Kat said the Blue Knight let his broken shield drop to the ground to free his left arm. And then that just makes me think of Dunk. And then I'm like, so are they related? Because if they are, that's like a super cool Easter egg. Ooh, they're fighting. Damn, Sir Loras yielded. That's so crazy knowing that Sir Loras is like a fan favorite basically, and Brienne just knocked him on his booty. Interesting. So Brienne of Tarth's father is called the Even Star. What's that got to do with the Morning Star? I don't know if there's a connection there, but I don't know. I feel like that's interesting because like we haven't really talked about why they call Sir Arthur Dayne the Morning Star, other than the fact that his sword is potentially like a fallen star, which we just don't have like any context on that. Like it's just like small little comments here and there. And then we have Brienne of Tarth, whose father is called the Even Star. So what's up? What's the lore with the star names? Oh my gosh. Cat said, "Is there any creature on Earth as unfortunate as an ugly woman?" Is Brienne, like, in the book, like, really that ugly? Where everybody's like, damn. I mean, does it really matter, though? She's a badass fighter. I don't think she really cares about her looks. Damn. She's talking to Renly now, and Renly's like, "When I take King's Landing, I will send you Cersei's head." Cat thought, "Will that bring me back Ned?" She's right. It's not gonna fix anything. Ew, not Lord Randall talking. He's calling Robb weak for not killing Jaime. Damn. Cat said, "King Robb is warring, not playing at tourneys." One thing about Cat is she's very good at holding her own. I think because she's like a proper, you know, highborn lady. She was raised in Riverrun. She knows these people. Then on top of that, she's now Lady of Winterfell. She can really like hold her ground with these men. And I love it. Damn. He's like talking to the guy who's hosting them, and he said, "Do you have daughters?" And then he said, "Yes, I have two." And then Renly said, "Thank the gods that I'm not Robert. My sweet queen is all the woman I desire." Insane. Aww. She like sees her reflection and she said, "The face of a drowned woman, can you drown in grief?" Poor Cat, she's so sad. Oh, that's sad. Brienne kind of knows like they call her ugly and they view her as ugly because she like doesn't really lift her gaze from her food. Like she only answers questions and then like looks back down. Ooh, they've got lots of food too. That's so crazy. Lord Renly is like King Renly is like the epitome of a king. Like he loves his wife, he's feeding her food, he jokes around with Sir Loras, and he's like never too drunk. His hair is always done up. Like he's like a perfect king. Like it's weird. Damn, they're just having a jolly good time over here. That's crazy. Her and Lord Rowan are like reflecting on how young everybody is here and how like the Knight of Flowers wasn't even 2 when Robert killed Rhaegar. That's crazy. Cat thought, "They're still unblooded. It's all a game to them. A tourney writ large, and all they see is the chance for glory, honor, and spoils." Damn. Cat said, "War will make them old as it did us." That's so crazy. You have like 2 different generations of war right now. You have like King Robert's rebellion, and then you have the War of the Five Kings, and they're like 2 different generations like growing up together. Can we stop with the wars in Westeros, y'all? Damn. Cat said, "They are nights of the summer and winter is coming." Aww. Her and Brienne are interesting. It seems like Brienne doesn't really like Cat that much. She makes some really sassy comments to her. But Brienne was saying like, "Oh, winter will never come for us because we'll either die or like we'll be fine." And then and then Cat thinks, "Winter comes for all of us. For me, it came when Ned died. It'll come for you too, child, and sooner than you like." That's so sad. Ooh, he doesn't know where Sir Barristan is. He asked if Sir Barristan was at River Run with Rob. Oh, that's crazy. So the cloak that he gave Brienne today, he was keeping for Barristan Selmy. Damn. So this is only part of Renly's group. He still has 10,000 back at Highgarden. Oh, and he's also relying on the Dornishmen to join him. I mean, I will say, like, Renly has a point. He's like, you know, like, when Robb took the throne, he wasn't the next in line for it, so why do I have to be the next in line? Uh-oh. No way. So we're in the middle of this, like, Renly cat conversation right now, and then out of nowhere, Lord Stannis starts attacking Storm's End. Y'all are messy. That's crazy. I mean, I will say, like, I think naturally it should go to Stannis, but at the same time, like, if Renly is really, like, putting himself up as, like, this perfect image of a king, and he has so many people behind him, and Robert also, you know, kind of stole the throne, I see his point. But Westeros has thrived off of, like, the rule of succession for so long that it's not something we can just, like, oh, I want the throne now. Like, it's not something that works that way anymore, so it just doesn't work like that. But at the same time, if we really look back at all the history of this world, maybe the succession line is not a good thing to have anymore because we've had so many wars about it. So it's one of those things where it's like, I actually see Renly's point where why don't we just, you know, take the throne if we're worthy of the throne type of thing. But it makes it so messy. It makes it so messy. And also, like, being in Kat's chapters in her head, this woman is filled with so much grief, and it's so sad and it's so heartbreaking to read because, like, every other line she's talking about just, like, how sad she is and just, like, how hopeless she is. And it's just so depressing. But these were some amazing chapters, some very long chapters. I love the long chapters though. There's so much juicy details in them. But these were some really good chapters, and that's all I have for this week. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye. Okay, you guys, let's read our book. We are on to Jon. Ooh, we're in the haunted forest. Jon called it the drowned forest. I love that. Oh, sweet Jon. He's like, I hope Sam is okay. Ooh, we're going to Craster's. That's so crazy. So they've been through 7 empty villages, not just like empty homes, but like whole villages empty. And so they were kind of assuming that Craster was going to be dead too. But Craster's fine. That's insane. Interesting. Dywyn, is that how you say it? Dywyn the Forester? He's kind of the only one that thinks Craster is, like, not good, and he's saying that Craster traffics with slavers and demons. And there's a cold smell to that one. Oh, that's interesting. Crows hate the rain as much as people do, like being out in it. That makes sense. Ooh, interesting. Dolores Ed is saying that Craster is a savage. He obeys no laws but his own, and Dywyn, who I'm trusting with my life, told Gren that he has black blood in his veins. Oh, that's crazy. Dywyn has, like, fake teeth carved of wood? Dywyn's jokes are crazy. I'm not repeating them. Ghost. Ew. There's like animal skulls surrounding Craster's keep. That sucks. So the keep is too small to house everybody, so some people have to sleep outside in the rain, but they've all been hopeful to like sleep inside somewhere. John is thinking like maybe 50 of them could sleep in there. That's crazy. Oh, that's interesting. Ghost is hungry. So there's still like no animals out in the forest right now? Damn. Some of the men aren't even asked to go inside for a little bit. Interesting. One of Craster's ears is missing. Commander Mormont is trying to figure out like where Sir Waymore went and that whole group, and Craster is like very heavily avoiding telling them where. And I think he's like kind of like trying to protect the White Walkers right now, because if he points them in the direction of where the White Walkers are, they're gonna find the White Walkers. But maybe he's trying to protect Commander Mormont. That would make more sense. Interesting. Craster knows so much more than he puts out. Like, they're talking about the whites that came for them, and Craster is saying, "We've had no such troubles here. I'll thank you not to tell such evils under my roof. I'm a godly man. The gods keep me safe. If whites come walking, I know how to send them back to their graves." How does he know that they're whites? How does he know how to send them back to their graves? What gods does he worship? And if this is in line with the show, are his gods the White Walkers? Question mark? Yeah, I definitely think Craster is like mixing truth with lies, because now he's talking about Mance Rayder and he's like, the empty villages, that's his work. They're all going to Mance Rayder. But that doesn't make any sense, because why would the villages be completely empty and the woods be completely empty? Like, he knows it's White Walkers. He's just not saying it. It's very weird that he's like not saying it. Sam's gonna draw us a map. Ooh. Craster saw John and immediately said, "He has the look of a Stark." Who is this? Who said this? Dolores Ed? Ed is like all grouchy and he's talking about giving Craster the axe. And then he said, "Why don't we just give him everything? We'd travel faster without them, straight to Hell's Door." I love Ed. He said, "Does it rain in hell?" Aw, Ghost stole some rabbits. Poor little Ghost, he was just hungry. Is this Gilly? I also think it's very interesting that Craster and John didn't really have beef. Like, John has been very respectful since he's been here, which in the show, he like made a weird comment to Craster or something like that. Like, there was a really weird power dynamic. So I'm really happy that that's not in this, because I always thought John was a little ridiculous for that. Oh no. Ghost ate all the rabbits, but she was trying to breed the rabbits. Bro, we scared off Gilly. Chet is such a loser. Oh, I see. So Chet is mad at John because John kind of got Sam to be promoted, but that was supposed to be Chet's spot, kind of. I love that Ghost found Sam for us. Ghost loves Sam. Sam said, I think there's moss growing between my toes. That's so cute. Sam and John just had like a little picnic together in the rain in their little shelter. Ooh, that's crazy. John just woke up and like everything is frozen. It's cold, which means there's White Walkers around. That's crazy. He's saying like the whole forest is frozen, like everything's frozen. And he thought, there is magic beyond the wall after all. Ooh, Gilly's here. She's wearing Sam's cloak? That's crazy. Gilly said, is it true, my lord? Are you a brother to a king? And potentially a son? That's crazy. So Gilly like sought him out after figuring out that he was like a Stark and talking to Sam, and she like came to him and is like asking to be taken with them. Oh, she said, I'll be your wife if you like. Ooh, she's a smart cookie. He said, we're guests in your father's hall. She said, not you, I watched. You never ate at his board, never slept by his fire. He never gave you guest rights. That's insane. Oh, that's so cute. She said her name was Gilly, and John said, that's pretty. And then he said he remembered Sansa telling him once that he should say that whenever a lady told her his name. Told him her name. You know what I mean? That's so cute. He gives the boys to the gods, so the White Walkers are his gods. Then that just leads me down a spiral of like, are all our gods White Walkers? Are the OG gods White Walkers now, but they were gods in the past? There's a lot. There's a lot in my brain when it comes to the gods, you guys. Interesting. So he started with giving them animals, and that's why they have like no sheep. That's why they're like running out of food, basically. And then he moved on to giving them boys. Damn. John thought, she has seen them. Craster lied. Yeah, Craster lied. That's insane. So they kind of are looking for like the White Walkers right now. Because like originally we were looking for Mance Rayder, maybe Benjen Stark. And John is saying, we ride north after Mance Rayder and after the others. We seek them, Gilly. Why are we seeking them? Damn. He like goes in to talk to Mormont because they're about to leave now. And Mormont's like, oh, you should have some of Craster's breakfast. And John thought, I will not eat Craster's food, he suddenly decided. So he's thinking of Gilly. Gilly's in the back of his mind. On their way back, we may be stealing Gilly, which I love that for us. Sweet Sam. He said, I know, but she was afraid. I know what it is to be afraid. He's like upset with Sam for thinking of it, but then he's also like upset and ashamed of himself for saying no. That sucks. That's so interesting. John is saying, there were wildlings who, this is a story of course, but there were wildlings who would lay with others to birth half-human children. And then Mormont said, does Craster seem less than human to you? John thought in half 100 ways. Then that just makes me think, like, what if some of the children aren't Crasters, they're White Walker children? Does that make sense? Like, what if he makes his wives with White Walkers, and then those children are like the sacrifices? Or is it just the boys? I don't know, I'm trying to think of how that story comes into play. I like this much better though. We're kind of like putting the pieces together that there's no animals, there's no boys, oh, Craster gives them to the others, rather than John like randomly going out and spying on him and then getting hit in the head. Like, this just is more believable to me, because no way Craster is letting them stay at their keep if there's someone as disrespectful as John there. Oh, John is learning that Uncle Benjen even knew about it. But I mean, it is one of those situations of like, you need someone you can rely on out here. There's not much you can do. He kind of has the power. That's interesting. He said, the wildlings serve crueler gods than you or I. So the wildlings' gods are the White Walkers. John's really having to kind of split like the morals he's been raised with. Like, he was taught through Ned that, you know, if you have a bad bannerman who has bad, you know, attitude, bad personality, whatever, like, we get rid of him because like honor and decency wins out. And Mormont is saying, we cannot set the worlds to rights. That's not our purpose. The Night's Watch has other wars to fight. So the Night's Watch has like one focus, and everything else is like not our business, not our problem, which is just like so opposite to how John was raised. That's crazy. There's something called the Horn of Winter, and it wakes giants from the earth. That's tea. Interesting. So Mormont's really worried that they're creating this big army to come down to the Seven Kingdoms and kind of take over, which obviously makes sense. But since the Night's Watch is so insignificantly small, or insignificant and small, sorry, it's really kind of like a big threat. And on top of that, Mance Rayder is a past Night's Watch guy. So it's not just like a random wildling. Like, this is somebody who knows how to fight, somebody who knows their defense is scary. Damn. That was a good chapter. We got to see Crasters. I really liked the way that was formatted better. Like, John was so much more respectful. Like, he knew something was off, and he kind of just like kept his respect and he kept his distance. And John in the show did not do that. And John in the show is like where I really started to like not like him, because I was like, dude, just hold your tongue. Like, you can't be that cocky. But seeing John in the book, like, he's so much better. Like, he knows his place. He knows how to hold his tongue. Like, he knows that like if he were to say anything, it's just going to make it worse. And so I think John, I naturally gravitate towards like John in the book so much better. But I really like that chapter, and I like that we're kind of piecing together kind of how the wildlings work and the structure of this without, you know, having to see physical proof or spying on people. Like, John is smart enough to like put the pieces together, and I think that's really cool. So I'm eager to see what happens with that, but it's gonna get messy. And it's even more messy knowing that they're kind of looking for the White Walkers. Like, John had said to Gilly, like, oh, we're searching for them, which is just crazy to me, because why? So I'm really eager to see what that looks like, because I know that we left off, I think it was season 1 or season 2, with like the White Walkers being there, and then we started season 3 with like the battle being done and like only a few people survived. So I'm wondering if that like battle with the White Walkers is in the book, or if that's even book accurate. So I'm like really excited to see where this goes. Okay, y'all, we're on to Theon. Sweatshirt is so big on me. Is this Yara? Ooh, that's interesting. Theon is saying that there's a few women that work on the ships, but not a lot. I really hope this isn't Yara. Oh, I don't think it is. She said, as it happens, I'm a woman wed and new with child. Theon likes her. A part of me is like, what if it still is Yara though? Oh, we're looking at Theon's new ship. I see, I see. Okay, so her name is Esgrid. She is the wife to Balon's shipwright. That's so cool. I wish we got to see Theon's like new ship in the show. New longboat? I don't know what it's called, okay. Theon's new boat is now called Sea Bitch. Theon. He said, in the Greenlands, they believe a woman with child means good fortune for any man who beds her. Are you just making things up, Theon? She said, I think you made that up. Yeah, I think so too, Queen. Damn. Theon said, bugger the drowned god. If he troubles us, I'll drown him again. Interesting. Theon's such a player. He said, if I steer her onto the rocks in my distraction, you'll have yourself to blame. Theon. He said, I need to start back to the castle. If you do not come with me, I may lose my way for grief. Oh, Theon likes her. He said, where has this wench been all my life? I'm kind of sussed out though. Like, is this Yara? She said, Esgred is yours, sweet prince. Take me to your castle. Let me see your proud towers. But she's like acting weird. Like she keeps grabbing him, which is weird. And then she's like, oh, but I can't do anything. I'm married and pregnant. Oh, but I can't do anything. I'm married and pregnant. And now all of a sudden she's down to go to the castle with him. Guys, is this Yara? And if so, why does she keep grabbing him? Maybe it's not. Oh my gosh, it's her, isn't it? They're walking through the town now, and everybody's like growing quiet and acknowledging him with respectful bows of the head. It's not for Theon. It's because this is Yara. She knows everybody in town. Damn. Theon said, you seem well known, and she said, every man loves the shipwright's wife. He had better lest he wants his ship to sink. Interesting. So Theon wants people on his boat that would be loyal to him, not to his father. But the hard thing with that is like he's newer back at Pike. You know, he doesn't really know anybody. Like who would just randomly be loyal to Theon? She's giving him good advice on like the men he should put on his boat though. Theon, He thought, let her believe I want her wisdom. Women fancy that. She's giving you some really good advice, actually, Theon. Ooh, interesting. The merchants in the port aren't allowed to leave until Balon crafts his plans. Oh no, that means that the captain's daughter is still here. Theon, go get your girl. Theon has a squire named Wex. He doesn't talk? The squire recognized Yara. I think her name's Asha in the book. Oh, that's interesting. They don't have like good horses on the Iron Islands. That's honestly like a really big setback for the Iron Island peeps, because not Winterfell but Westeros, they're like so reliant on horses and like having a good horse. So they may be great at sea, but they're not great on land. They're on the horse now. Theon's talking ish on Asha right now. He said Asha's favorite gown is a chainmail hauberk, hopefully I'm saying that right, that hangs down past her knees with boiled leather small clothes beneath. Ooh, then he says, I'll make a good marriage alliance with her once we've won the war, if I can find a man to take her. As I recall, she had a nose like a vulture's beak. This is Asha. Literally the first thing he noticed about this girl was her nose. So his big plan is he's gonna get this throne seat and then he's gonna marry off Asha. Ooh. They're talking about uncles now, and Theon, being cocky Theon, is like, oh, I'll be fine. Uncles aren't a threat to me. And then he said, he lives only for his god. And Asha immediately said, his god, not yours? Yikes, Theon. Interesting. Theon said, Victarion? Victarion? Hopefully I'm saying these names right. He's saying that he is strong and tireless and dutiful, but not like to win any races. So Euron and Victarion, those two are like the trouble uncles. We gotta keep eyes on those two. Euron sounds like he has some aura in the book. I'm excited for him to like become a part of the plot. Iskrit is talking about Euron, and she said, if he lives, why, he has spent so long at sea that he would be half a stranger here. The Ironborn would never seat a stranger in the Seastone chair. Theon said it occurred to him that some would call him a stranger as well. I have time to prove myself. Yikes, Theon. I kind of like this quote. Theon said, only a fool humbles himself when the world is so full of men eager to do that job for him. Theon is so cocky. Aw, she's saying that Theon needs to go visit his mother. I agree. Especially because it sounds like she's dying. She's not going to be around for much longer. I'm like torn on if this is Yara or not, because she's talking about how she's married and pregnant, and she keeps making comments about being pregnant. So unless Yara is pregnant, this isn't Yara, right? I don't know, but then the no's comment, but then the people knowing her. Yara's pregnant in the book? Damn. Theon said she's easy to talk to, gods praise her. I feel as though I've known her for years. It's Yara, isn't it? What's weird about this though is if it is Yara, Theon like genuinely likes her. Like this is the first girl from Theon's perspective that he's like actually smitten. Like he's like, oh, I like really like this one. Which is weird. I really hope this isn't Yara, guys. It's Yara! No! He said, Lady Asha, you're back. Guys, I thought we had escaped it. I was so hype. I was so happy we had escaped the weird Yara Theon scene. I was like, oh my gosh, his uncle's here to greet him. This is so much better. Enter Theon chapter 2. No way, bro. Okay, listen, this one is a little weirder because he immediately starts flirting with her, yes, but she grabs him first. Like, she makes the first physical move, which, like, if she knows this is Theon, which she did, yuck. And she also straight up lied to him. Like, she straight up told him she was a completely different person. She was a wife. She was pregnant with a child. Like, she straight up lied to him. Well, I think in the show, she just didn't say anything. Like, he didn't really ask who she was. Versus in the book, he asked. She straight up lied. And then she was, like, grabbing up on him. So I think naturally for Theon, he's gonna believe what he's told. And give what she's putting out, you know? So I feel like it's a lot more messed up for Yara in the book because she kind of took it 3 extra steps. This author is great, but we gotta stop with the sibling stuff, bro. We gotta stop. We gotta stop. It's so foul too because Theon hasn't been to Pike in 10 years. Like, how would you expect him to know? She said, I wonder if I still have that chainmail gown. That one was fair. Exactly. Theon, I'm kind of on your side with this one. He said, she unlaced my breeches. Like, Yara, way too far. Sorry, I keep calling her Yara. It's a habit. Theon's so in his head right now, rightfully so. He said, the way she kept reaching for my... That's my point. Like, why was she grabbing up on you first? I hate everything about this. Theon's like dressing down. He said he's not wearing any ornament. He had nothing bought with iron. It's so sad because we get to see, like, I think in Westeros, Theon has a very inflated view of himself. But in Pike, it's like he waters himself down. And it's like, yes, we all naturally don't like a cocky person. But I mean, if that's who you are, that's who you are. You know, it's really sad to see Theon, like, really water himself down when he's at home because he can't be the person he grew up to be. Does that make sense? Like, it's like he's trying to fit into this mold that just doesn't fit him anymore. That's interesting. The Seastone chair, when the first men found like the Iron Islands, the sea stone chair was just there. That's crazy. Damn. Theon like told Asha was in Theon's seat, and Asha said, "Brother, surely you're mistaken. Your place is at Winterfell." Theon said, "If I retch, it'll be on her." Do it, Theon. Damn. Theon Greyjoy realized that the Great Hall was ringing with laughter, all of it at him. Theon, let's get out of here, bro. They're literally just like mocking him. Like he's just like a spectacle to all of them. I know we're looking at this chapter through Theon's eyes, but it just makes me angry for Theon because it's like he had no control in leaving. He had no control in where he had to go. Like he had no say in any of it. And then he gets like mocked and punished when he comes back home, as if any of it was his fault. It's insane. Damn. Asha said, "If you had troubled to learn the first thing of Sigrin, I could never have fooled you. 10 years a wolf and you land here and think to prince about the islands, but you know nothing and no one." This sucks because it's like, okay, yes, the Iron Islands have their own custom, but you have to remember that Theon was like taken away to Westeros, or the Greenlands, they call it, where the line of succession is like Bible to them. And so Theon's being raised with this mindset of like, I'm next in line no matter what, only to come here, be laughed at, be mocked, and be like, you don't know anybody, you don't deserve anything. It's just, it's complicated because like they have their own rules, but like Theon was raised on the other rules. And so it just creates this conflict of like, you don't belong anymore. Theon said, "Half my life I've waited to come home, and for what? Mockery and disregard." That's what I'm saying, Theon. Let's get out of here. Damn. He doesn't even like the food here. Like he's just a different person. Like he doesn't fit this anymore. He's talking about like how he doesn't like the fish stews and the black bread, and it's just like kind of gross and not really appetizing. It's like, Theon, I think Winterfell is your home now. Theon said, "Marriage is not for you. When I rule, I believe I will pack you off to the Silent Sisters." That's fair. Yikes. Theon's going to the Stony Shore. Damn. So not only is he going on like a very small side quest, but he's going with like a bunch of babysitters, basically. And Asha's taking Deepwood Mott. That's crazy. Balon said, "When my sons have struck their blow, Winterfell must respond." So he's styling Yara as a son. Asha, sorry. Theon like walked out and like started looking at the rocks below. Theon. Asha just thinks he's drunk. I think Theon's really in like a midlife crisis right now. Being inside Theon's chapters make it like so much. Theon's one of my favorites already. So it's like really difficult to keep my bias down because I love Theon. But I think at the end of the day, like being in Theon's chapters makes it worse because from his perspective, it makes so much sense, like why this is all crazy. You know, like it's when he's being raised in Winterfell and the rules are a certain way and that's how he's being raised, and then he goes home and that's all thrown in the trash. He's super disrespected. He's not taken seriously and he's just like this joke to everybody. It's just insane. It's insane to see it from Theon's perspective because it's kind of like the last thing he expected. And it's like time and time again, it's kind of like he's getting kicked while he's already down. Like time and time again, he's put in his place or he's kind of like the laughing stock. And it's so sad. And it just really makes me so sympathetic to Theon because it's like, if any of us were in Theon's shoes, we would be the same way. We would be like, what the F? Like, this is my home. I'm the next, like, son in line. Like, this doesn't make any sense. But it's like he's being punished for something that wasn't even in his control, for something that was his father's fault at the end of the day. Insane. This, like, every part of me just wants me to, like, shake Theon and be like, go back to Rob. Because looking at how his family treats him and how it is on Pike, like, it's not even worth it, in my opinion. Like, if I were Theon, I'd be like, all right, I'm out. And I would go tell Rob every single thing I knew. Because at least Rob has, like, relationship and respect with you, you know? But Theon just so desperately wants that relationship with his family, as anybody would. It's freaking heartbreaking. Okay, we're on to Tyrion. Wow, Sir Lancel is a singer. Cersei wants to lock up all the begging brothers. Lancel, shut up. Lancel said, I would cut their tongues out. Ooh. Cersei said, one even dared to say that the gods were punishing us because Jaime murdered the rightful king. Oh, she already locked them up. Tyrion said, I'll have you know I make Shaga bathe once a fortnight. What is this great chain he's making? Is it like a shipbreaker chain? Damn. Tyrion said, is this the bed where Robert died? I'm surprised you kept it. Cersei said, it gives me sweet dreams. I love Cersei. Ooh, Cersei's panicking because Stannis is moving. Rare cute moment from these two. Cersei said, I'm starting to believe that Robert was the clever one. And then they're both like laughing together now. Oh, she hugged him. They're talking about Storm's End and Stannis. And Tyrion said, Stannis took it as a slight. Cersei said it was meant as a slight. Yikes. What did he just put in Cersei's drink? Damn. Tyrion thought, is this the Cersei that Jaime sees? When she smiled, you saw how beautiful she truly was. Then he said he almost felt sorry for poisoning her. What's he trying to do that he wants Cersei kind of out of it? I don't think he's killing her, but obviously he's not killing her, but... Tyrion's sitting on the throne right now? Tyrion looked down on them all and found that he liked it. Go off, Tyrion. Yikes, they're laying new terms for Rob. And they're ridiculous terms. Why are we playing this game with each other? Yikes. They're gonna tell Rob about Casterly Rock's little army that they have right now. that Stannis and Renly are fighting each other right now, and that Dorne is now on their side because of Princess Marcella. He said, tell Stark that 2 Lannisters are worth 4 Northmen in any season. Didn't Ned say something similar but like opposite? That like 1 Southern fighter is worth... No. 1 Northern fighter is worth 4 Southern fighters or something like that? Y'all know what I mean. Interesting. Tyrion promised Robb ice back if he makes peace with the Lannisters. How well Sansa is treated depends on Robb. Tyrion. Is it Vylar? I hope I'm saying that right. Vylar is one of the knights, the guards, and he's one of Cersei's. And he's sending Vylar with Sir Cleos back to Riverrun. Oh, Tyrion. Oh, he's sending all of Cersei's men. We're in the middle of court and somebody said, I will be heard. And Tyrion said, Sir Alliser, I had no notion that you had come to court. We're playing games with Sir Alliser right now. Littlefinger said, to his face we call him Lord Eunuch. Dude, Tyrion's on fire this chapter. He said, the king is playing with his new crossbow. I can't with Tyrion. Sir Alliser told them about the Whites, and everybody's like laughing at him, but Tyrion is like kind of on the fence. He said when he was on the wall, he had felt something. Yikes. Tyrion said, if you bury your dead, they won't come walking. Spades will end your trouble. He said, the cells are near empty. Yoren took all the likely men. Tyrion said, arrest some more then. Tyrion is so funny. The hard thing about this with Sir Alliser is I think a part of Tyrion definitely like knows this is serious and kind of sees like what he's saying, but because the whole court is laughing at him, like he has to play along. He said, say hi to Lord Mormont and to Jon Snow. Cute. Varys understands the Tyrion hype. He says, you appease the Stark boy with his father's bones, strip your sister of her protectors, give the Black Brother the men he seeks, rid the city of some hungry mouths, yet make it all seem mockery. That's crazy. He's so crafty, but also like so successful at the same time. Oh, Littlefinger's salty because he found out about Marcella. Littlefinger said, leave me out of your next deception. Tyrion thought, only if you'll do the same for me. Interesting. He had Bronn searching for men, a thief, a prisoner, a mummer, and a murderer. Tyrion. He's gonna have those 4 men dress up as Lannister guards. Then they're gonna ride straight into Riverrun with Stark bones. Ned Stark's bones. Tyrion said, I like her uneasy. Talking about Cersei. Interesting. They have a traitor's moon tonight? What does that mean? Yikes, we're locking up Pycelle right now? That's tea. Pycelle said, make no mistake, for every secret the eunuch whispers in your ear, he holds 7 back. I believe that. We're like pressing Pycelle right now, and he's saying he's always been loyal to House Lannister, and it was him who bid Aerys to open his gates. That's insane. Pycelle said, Aerys was mad, Viserys too young, Prince Aegon a babe at the breast. Is Prince Aegon Rhaegar's son? The one that got killed? That's insane. He's betrayed so many people. Damn. Pycelle is spilling the tea right now. He said Renly was plotting to bring the Highgarden maid to court to entice his brother. Tyrion said, careful now, Shagga, you've cut him. Shagga said, dull-fathered warriors, not barbers. That's insane. Pycelle is singing right now. So it was Pycelle who gave the poison to Hugh, and then Hugh poisoned Lord Aaron. Or he's assuming it was Hugh. Damn. Tyrion's like reevaluating after Pycelle pretty much said everything. And he's like, you know, maybe my father had it right. Like, maybe I should kill all 3 of them. Pycelle, Varys, Littlefinger, just put their heads on spikes because I can't trust anybody. That's crazy. It's crazy that it goes like that deep, where it's like Tyrion, he's so crafty and he's so intelligent, but him getting to the point of like, maybe I should just kill them, just goes to show like how powerful and secretive those 3 are. That's so fun. But I loved that scene. I think it was so cool that, I think I read that right, that Tyrion sat on the throne today, which is just insane because I don't think Tyrion ever sat on the throne in the show. And yeah, he's just filling in for Cersei, but it's still a really cool moment. And then getting to see Tyrion like handle the craftiness of court and kind of like checking his responses with how the people are responding, he would be such an insane ruler. Like, it would be so cool. But I think it's really fun seeing Tyrion work and seeing Tyrion's mind, and then also seeing him make his moves in court. And it just leads to a bunch of questions of like, how is Cersei going to respond to this? Because Tyrion really is making like very big moves against Cersei. Like, is she intelligent enough to catch on to this? Because I feel like she's going to catch on to her guards being gone. But Tyrion already had an excuse for that. Like, oh, we're going to go get Jaime. And then now Pycelle. And then Marcella. So it's like he's really isolating Cersei. And his like main move right now is Cersei and isolating her. So I'm wondering if she's intelligent enough to catch on to that, or if she's really not. So I think that's going to be really fun to see. But that was a great chapter. Let's read our book. We are on to Arya. For a side note, though, I am going to give you guys a heads up. I think next week we are going to take a break on the book vlogs, just for a week. Just 1 week, I promise. Just because we're watching Lord of the Rings right now, and I'm going to spend next week editing Lord of the Rings working on that, trying to figure it out. And then on top of that, I've been kind of sick this past week, so my energy is just kind of really low. I don't know if you guys have noticed in my videos, but my energy has been kind of on the lower side this week. So I think I'm going to give next week to just kind of like edit and kind of maybe start to feel a little better, because I've been feeling so sick recently and it's so annoying. So we will take a break on the book vlogs just this next week, and then the week after that we'll have book vlogs again. So yay! Poor Arya. She said she had thought she had known what it meant to be afraid, but she learned better in that storehouse besides the God's Eye. She was there for 8 days, and every day she had seen someone die. That's insane. Oh, that's crazy. So, like, no matter what you do, you're not safe. Arya's saying that one of the girls was, like, sleeping with the soldiers for, like, 4 nights. Or 3 nights, and then on the 4th day, the mountain picked her. All for Joffrey. Oh, that's insane. Dude, this is foul. The mountain like picked a mom, and the mom was like, oh, I'll tell you whatever you want as long as you don't hurt my daughter. And then the mountain picked her daughter the next morning. It's crazy to torture like person after person to try to find Dondarrion. Like, these people don't know where Dondarrion is. They don't play the games that you guys play. Aww. Arya said the direwolf was the sigil of the Starks, but Arya felt more like a lamb surrounded by a herd of other sheep. She's talking about how she's like not a water dancer or anything either, because like Syrio would never get himself in this situation. But it's like, Arya babes, you're a young girl. Like, there's nothing you could have done. Damn, she couldn't even hide that she was a girl in the like storehouse. Oh my gosh. One boy of 3 would not stop calling for his father, so they smashed in his face with a spiked manse. Damn. They really hate the high houses right now. Everybody like captured. One lady like spat on the ground. She said, there's for the Tullys, there's for the Lannisters, and there's for the Starks. The hell did the Starks do to you? Damn. They're saying King Aerys would never let this happen. That's insane. And the women are like even more not safe. Smart girl, Arya. She's like watching and learning all of the Lannister guards and like who's lazy, who's cruel, who's stupid. Very smart. Oh shit, Arya's starting her list. And it's so long. That's crazy. She said there were no gods on the road to Harrenhal, and her names were the only prayer she cared to remember. I think there's gods, Arya. I just think they're not what we think they are. What? One of Old Nan's stories says that Harren the Black had mixed human blood in the, what is it called, mortar? That's insane. That's so cool. Harrenhal sounds crazy in the book. Arya changed her name to Weasel. This is interesting. This is a little different from the show, where like in the show like Tywin comes in. In this one they like take the rest of them and then these women like assign them places. So Arya's working under Weiss? How do you say his name? Oh, that's so weird. Arya's being told that she must never look a highborn in the eye nor speak until spoken to. That's so crazy because, like, can you imagine being a highborn and being raised, and then now it's like you're on the other side of it? It's wild. Poor Arya. We gotta get her out of here. I'm really interested to see where the Harrenhal plot goes because obviously in the show, like, Tywin and Arya had some really good conversations, but I don't know if that's in the book. I don't think it's in the book. So I'm really eager to see where her story goes with that because I think it's going to be really fascinating. But Arya's in Harrenhal. I'm nervous for her. I'm trying to remember how she got out of Harrenhal. It was Jaqen, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was Jaqen. So I'm wondering if is Jaqen here because we haven't seen Jaqen at all. But that'd be really fun if Jaqen is here. So I'm really excited to see where that goes. We're waiting for my coffee to get here. I need coffee. But in the meantime, this is like my think about Game of Thrones time while I wait for coffee. I don't know, okay? It just works. But I've been like recently down this like spiral of Game of Thrones and the gods because listen, y'all, when I first watched the show with you guys, the gods were definitely mentioned a lot, but it was kind of like these like background figures. They didn't seem as important. Like they were just like, you know, your gods. Like we have the gods in the north, we have the gods in the south, we have the Lord of Light, and like they were just like gods that were in the plot, but they didn't really seem like significant or important. But then when we read the book, I can't talk. When we read the book, it's like crazy. Like the gods basically like haunt this narrative, and I think it was like very heavy in book 1. It's very heavy in book 2. I'm assuming it's going to follow us for the rest of the series, but there's definitely like a huge significance with the gods, and I'm like on the fence with my thought process with them right now because a big part of me thinks that there are gods but they're not what we think they are, and I don't know how to explain it because I've made quite a few comments of like I think Arya is very influenced with the gods, I think Bran is very influenced with the gods, and I still hold to all of that. And even like Sansa, I'm very interested to see where she goes because she said she like leans more towards the seven, so it's very interesting kind of seeing where this plot is going to go with the gods because I do feel like anytime a fantasy author writes in gods, they play a role, but it's typically not in a role that we think they're going to play. Like the gods are always like, oh, the gods are great, the gods are amazing. But then when it gets down to it, the gods lied to us, the gods betrayed us, the gods, you know, set us up for this. Like it's typically like a pretty big plot twist in fantasy with gods. I don't know, in my experience, it has been. So I feel like in Game of Thrones, it's going to be something very similar where the gods are not good. Like they have either perpetuated this or they, I don't know, something to do with the prince that was promised and like they didn't follow through on their promise and so they're leaving it for the next generation. I don't know, it's something that's negative for sure. And then I get in this like headspace of like, okay, well, are the gods even gods or are they just magical beings, you know? And then it leads me to like Spooky Tree Guy, for example. I think for a big part of my theory is I think Spooky Tree Guy himself is the old gods, and it's not necessarily a god himself, but the weirwoods have power, and then we have a magical being, somebody with magic in their blood, and they are able to kind of like harness this weirwood power and also warg through ravens. I don't know, I still haven't gotten a lot of lore on Spooky Tree Guy, but then he kind of fashions himself as a god and he is the old god, but I don't think he's good. And so there's a lot of like, that's kind of where my mind is going, where I feel like for some reason I feel like we're in a new generation of gods right now where Bran is the next old god, Arya is the next god of death, and I don't know, for some reason I feel like the gods are not these like ethereal beings that just come down from the heavens and they're here to help us. Like, I think the gods were people from the past who had a lot of magic and a lot of power, and they kind of either styled themselves as God or history kind of wrote them as gods because of their power. But because it was so long ago and because history is, hit or miss, we don't actually know if they were gods or not. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just have this feeling that like there is spiritual forces at work for sure. Like we do talk about like the ghost at Harrenhal. We talk about the ghosts of the Red Keep. And so there definitely is like a spiritual element to the plot. So I do think that there could be maybe like one particular god, maybe the Lord of Light himself, who kind of guides the story and guides the pieces on the boards and like moves things about. But other than that, the other gods is just the power that's in the land and the power that's in our blood. You know what I mean? So like once again, Spooky Tree Guy is the old gods. Lord of Light is probably the maybe one real ethereal being, spiritual being, and he's kind of guiding a lot of things right now. Then we have the 7, which are useless. I'm sorry, but from what I've gotten so far, the 7 are not real and the 7 are made up, and unless it's like the 7 is a deconstructed form of Lord of Light, the 7 is not real. And so that's interesting to me. And then we have, the gods in the Dothraki land, which also don't seem super real, but also the gods could be different dependent on the land. I don't know. I'm only like halfway through the second book, but I just have this like really big feeling that like Arya is the next god of death. And I don't know how else to explain it other than like, I think we're in a new generation of gods. And I think our idea of gods is not like, what we think in our head, like, oh, somebody who lives up in heaven and controls things. Like, no, it's different. It's magical beings. And I think when we had watched History and Lore, Bran had mentioned, I don't know if I'm saying this right, the Age of Heroes ? That might be a Percy Jackson book. It might be a Percy Jackson book. But I think you guys know what I'm talking about, where before the First Men or during the First Men, there was these like really powerful beings. There was mermaids. There was the drowned god. Like there was a bunch of like really like kind of mystical stuff happening. And I think that was the age of gods, you know what I mean, where these really powerful, potentially immortal people were styling themselves as gods, and maybe they're still around. Like maybe the drowned god is a very powerful mermaid and he isn't a god at all, but he's just a very powerful mermaid. I fully believe there's mermaids in this story. And so I think our view on the gods, we're being lied to, and we have like a history of the gods and how powerful they are and how influential they are, but it's actually something different and it's not what we've been told. So I feel like our characters themselves are, kind of like basing their choices and their decisions and their prayers off of these gods, only for them to kind of come to these conclusions that these gods aren't real. We've had Sansa come to that conclusion. We've had Arya come to that conclusion. And it just kind of feels like I'm not going to pray to the gods anymore. It doesn't do anything. And I think that's because the gods are not legit gods. They're probably immortal beings that were powerful, and you guys are the next gods, So I don't know. That's my thought process on it. But I definitely am really intrigued to see how my thought process changes as I get more into the series, because I think right now there's a lot of things like kind of on the board with the gods where like anything could happen with this. But I do feel like they're going to be relevant to the plot at some point. Like I feel like they set us up for failure and they're not good people. So I don't know. I'm really eager to see where that goes, but I really wanted to explain my thought process on that with you guys because I keep mentioning it, but I haven't had time to like sit down and explain where I'm at with that. Let's read our book. We're on to Dany. Ooh. See, this is fun because in Karth, it obviously was like a very sketchy introduction to Karth, but in the book, she's like being welcomed in. Like people are really excited she's here. She's saying men beat gongs to herald her coming. Like, wow. Damn, that's crazy. She said, 3 thick walls encircled Karth. Ooh. The innermost were studded with golden eyes, all opened at Dany's approach. That's creepy. That's a choice. She said the women wore gowns that left one breast bare. Why? She thinks they look like savage to them. Also, Pyat Pri is like a very big character in Karth immediately, which I really like. And we have like Pyat Pri and Zaro kind of like both fiending for her hand right now. Oh, I like this much better. Both of them are saying like, anything in the market is yours. You can have whatever you want. And she's like, well, how about you guys just give me ships and swords? That's much better than her going to the merchant guy later and like demanding his stuff. Zaro is saying that Pyat Pri is very like weak magically wise. Jorah doesn't like it here. Jorah has good intuition. Dany's talking about Jorah. She said, I am his queen, but I will always be his cub as well. He will always guard me. It made her feel safe but sad. Dang, it's bougie here. Damn. Dany knows that they're doing all of this because of her dragons. Q8th, I think that's how you pronounce her name, the lady with the mask. She's like warning Dany to be very careful with her dragons. It's like the same thing she told Jorah in the show. And I really like that she's an element like talking to Dany. I hope we get more of her. Damn. Dany doesn't trust her. Dany can like understand the ambitions of Pyat, hopefully I'm saying that right. Pyat and Zaro, like she understands what their ambition is and what they want, but when it comes to Q8th, she like can't figure out what she wants, and so she's like, I don't trust her. That's crazy. Dany's so good at reading people. Dany's smart. She said, go investigate everything. Damn. Dany's just like vibing in this beautiful castle, and she's like, I wonder if the Red Keep is like this. No. Dany had no wish to reduce King's Landing to a blackened ruin full of unquiet ghosts. She had supped enough on tears. This is how I know Dany, so far, this is what I think. I don't think Dany's gonna turn dark in the books, but I do think Dany's gonna get killed, definitely. Because she's thinking, I want to make my kingdom beautiful, fill it with fat men, pretty maids, laughing children. I want my people to smile when they see me ride by. So she wants like a dream happy Westeros, which is never gonna happen, which tells me like she would be a great ruler probably, but she's never gonna make it to that throne. So what happens to Dany? Interesting. Dany's putting all of her faith in the gods. She's like, if the gods want me to conquer, they'll make it happen. Ooh, Jorah found a captain that's telling us that King Robert is dead. That's crazy. Dany's thinking about how literally her whole life she's been thinking of King Robert and this like great shadow that he cast, and like now all of a sudden it's just gone. Dany's asking some real questions. We're talking about Ned Stark, and Jorah's like, Ned Stark could never be a traitor. And Dany said, what honor could he have? He was a traitor to the true king, as were the Lannisters. Kind of have a point. Y'all, I think dragons are gonna make a comeback, because this, we have I think it was Iddy or Jackie, not Jackin. They were talking about the story of the moon and how like the moon cracked and out of it like poured thousands of eggs. And then we have the comet, which is a symbol of dragons. We have Dany's dragons, and this merchant just said like, or this sailor, y'all know who I'm talking about. He came up to Dany and he's like, you gave me a gift, I got to see dragons. And she says, and we'll see more of them one day, I hope. So I feel like Dany is the start of the dragons coming back. Like she's not just like, it's not gonna be just her and these 3 dragons. Like I think there's 3 dragons for a reason, so that way they can create more dragons. Because if it was just gonna be Dany and a dragon, then it would just be Dany and a dragon. But there's 3 of them. So I feel like this is the start of a new era of dragons. Just saying. And also Bran is seeing other dragons in Asshai. So I love how feisty her dragons are. They like match her mood. It's really fun. Interesting. Jorah said, even dragons can die. Dany said, dragons die, but so do dragon slayers. Guys, I feel like Dany's gonna die at some point. There's definitely a difference between book Dany, show Dany, 1000%. And I think book Dany, she has her moments where she's a little manic and she's very kind of like, especially the pyre scene. Like she was definitely very manic in that moment, but I think it was very fair because she's in the middle of a ritual. So there's like a lot going on mentally for her. But now she's definitely calmed down a lot and she's back to kind of regular Dany. And she wants good things for Westeros, and I feel like anytime there's a ruler that wants good things for Westeros, they're dead, you know? So it's one of those things where I feel like Dany is dying at some point. She's gonna make it very close to this throne, she's gonna make it to Westeros, but she's not gonna live, and that worries me. So I want to know what happens. I want to piece together what happens with Dany, in my opinion. Okay, we're on to Bran. I love Bran chapters. What are we doing? Ooh. She like, Mira like snared Summer? That's cool. Bran and his direwolf are like playing. That's so cute. That's crazy. Mira said, does he never grow angry? Not with me, Bran said. Oh, interesting. So everybody from the Harvest Feast has left, but the Reeds decided to stay. I love that. So does that mean they're gonna be here when Theon comes? Mira reminded Bran of Arya. That's so cute. Dang, Mira's almost 16. Mira said they have no knights at Greywater, no master at arms, and no maester. What? Greywater Watch moves? Dude, I want to see the Jojen and Mira's place. I feel like it would be so cool. It's like swampy. Things are like moving. They don't have like knights or maesters. Like, it's very different from everything else in Westeros. Uh-oh. Yikes. So the minute the feast was over, Ramsay swooped in. They're saying that Lady Hornwood was seized by Ramsay, and he married her that very night. Then Lord Manderley had taken her castle, literally the minute she left Winterfell. Yikes, that's bad. Jojen wants him to leave Winterfell. Does he know Theon's coming? Bran said, "Tell me what's gonna happen." Jojen said, "I will if you tell me your dreams." The godswood grew quiet. The gods are listening. Damn. All of Winterfell knows about Bran's dreams because he has like night terrors. Damn. Jojen said, "I dreamed of a winged wolf bound to earth with gray stone chains." Ooh. So certain people are given this green sight gift, and it seems to happen like when they're pretty close to death and they're like younger kids. Because the same thing happened with Jojen. He had graywater fever, and that was when the crow came to him. So what's the point of that? I don't know. That's interesting. It's interesting that there's two boys that were younger that were close to death when the crow came for them. Interesting. Jojen said, "You are the winged wolf, Bran. I wasn't sure when we first came, but now I am." Was he thinking that Rickon was the other one, potentially? I need more Rickon. Interesting. When Jojen told our Lord Father what he had dreamed, he had sent us to Winterfell. The same Lord Father who is friends with Ned Stark, so he believes in the green sight and everything. I wonder if Ned would have believed in it. I feel like he wouldn't have. Bran's gotta open his third eye. Bran just keeps kind of like deflecting. He doesn't really want to like know anything about this right now. He's like, anyways, let's talk about lizards. Ooh. Jojen knows exactly what he dreamed of. He said, "The night of the harvest feast, you dreamed you were summer in the godswood, didn't you?" How does Jojen know that? Damn, that's crazy. So Bran keeps chalking all this up to like just dreams. He's like, "Oh no, it's just a dream, just a dream." And Jojen's telling him like, "No, you were actually there." Aww. Jojen said, "Do you fall every night, Bran?" Does he? That's so sad. Oh, Summer's pissed. Yeah, Bran, this is your emotions through Summer. Summer's like trying to attack them. Bran, chill. Oh no, Rickon's wolf is here now. Where the heck is Rickon? Yikes. We're scared of Rickon's wolf. Mira was like, oh, call him back, Bran, call him back. And then Rickon's wolf pulled up and they're like running for a tree now. Yikes. Oh, the wolf's like Hodor. Bran is our little deflecting king right now. He's like, they're just dreams. That was all the wolves. That wasn't me. He like, I feel like he knows Jojen and Mira are right, and he's just convincing himself otherwise. The children of the forest have green sight. Their wise men were called green seers. The way we are constantly talking about green seers, it's like so nice to finally know exactly what it is. Interesting. Maester Luwin said it had to do with the faces in the trees. The first men believed that the green seers could see through the eyes of their werewoods. Tea. Ooh. Green seers also had power over the beasts of the wood and the birds in the trees. Interesting. Does Bran have that gift, or is it just his wolf? But then that still plays into my god theory that, like, the old god is not an old god. It is the green seers, I think. Because, like, we can see through the werewoods, and the werewoods have power, so there's, like, connection there. Maester Luwin doesn't believe any of this. I think it's so cool that he has a Valyrian steel chain. Or link, I guess. See, the thing with the whole Valyrian steel link is, if we really think about it, the Citadel is not going to have like strong studies on magic because they probably, one, don't have magical blood, and two, they're like outsiders looking in on something. And so we have, it would be different if like we had maesters at the Citadel who were magically gifted, like if we had, I don't know, someone like Bran, someone like Dany, but also we're in an era for the past who knows how many years, an era of no magic in the land, like no dragons, no magic, nothing. And now all of it's getting woken back up again. So I think the maesters in the past obviously never were able to find much with their magic findings because there was no magic at the time. So now that there is magic, what would happen if we got a magically gifted maester into the Citadel during this time? That's a big question, because then I feel like the Valyrian steel link would actually show something, you know, like that study would actually go somewhere. But when you're only working with like one part of the equation, you're not going to get any answers. I hope that makes sense. What is she doing? See, he says, I got no more efforts than 1,000 boys before me and 1,000 sins. Sad to say, magic does not work. For you, you know? So, like, if you were to put Bran in that position, he would probably find so much more. It's like, if you're not magically gifted, you're not magically gifted. Maester Luwin said, even gods die, we think. Agreed. Interesting. He said, Valyria was the last ember, Valyria is gone. The dragons are no more, the giants are dead, the children of the forest forgotten with all their lore. And I feel like all of that is coming back into play right now. So it's like naturally there was no magic, but everything's stirring again. Then that leads me to like, is Valyria ever going to come back into play? Like, there's no way we have a place like Valyria and we just leave it. There's no way. Bran's like convincing himself Maester Luwin is right, but he knows that it's not true. I think Maester Luwin has a very biased, like, what's the word for it? Like book book type opinion. There's street smart and there's book smart. You know what I'm talking about? I think Maester Lewin is very much like academically like, oh, the statistics, or like, oh, the research. But I mean, we're in an era where the statistics and the research don't match up and everything's changing. So unfortunately, Maester Lewin is dead wrong. Poor Bran. He'll get there eventually. I definitely think Jojen and Mira being here is really good because he's deflecting so much right now of like, oh, I don't have this gift. Oh, I'm not connected to Summer. And I just feel like Jojen and Mira are exactly the type of people he needs, which is very interesting. And it just leads me back to like, Jojen is connected to the green site, which is also connected to the weirwood, which I'm assuming is connected to Spooky Tree Guy. So Spooky Tree Guy is putting all of this into motion, it seems like, because otherwise, Jojen and Mira wouldn't be here with Bran, and they're kind of like pushing Bran along a little bit. So I think that's really fascinating because we can see, like, if you really look at it, there's like an underlying manipulation factor here, and I think that's very interesting. Okay, y'all, we're on to Tyrion. Lancel's here. I love it. Tyrion said, no, Lancel scarce thinks at all. This is Cersei's doing. Tyrion's making him wait. I love it. Oh, she wants Grandmaster Pycelle released. Damn. Tyrion said he should have given her a larger dose. How many days was she out? Tyrion said wine does have its dangers. Yikes, he's like becoming more and more similar to Cersei in like her attitude. Ooh. So Cersei went to Bywater and said that he should release Pycelle, and Bywater said no because Bywater serves Tyrion. Uh-oh. And now she wants him removed from office and placed under arrest for treason? Damn, Lancel's sassy. Tyrion said, but that absurd wisp of a mustache ruined the effect. That's crazy. Tyrion's so like quick-witted, and he notices so many small things where like he has immediately noticed that Lancel and Cersei are hooking up, but I feel like it's less obvious in the book. Like I feel like I wouldn't have come to that conclusion if I hadn't watched the show. Because, I mean, there's only been one time where Lancel was in Cersei's room and it was in, like, the middle of the day and he was, like, singing for her or something. So I feel like for him to come to that conclusion is crazy. Damn. Tyrion said, even a poor copy of Jaime is sweeter than an empty bed. What the hell? And just like that, Tyrion has Lancel wrapped around his finger. That's crazy. Tyrion makes so many comments about the wine. Damn. He's saying Pycelle can't be on the council. Tyrion says the craziest things. He's telling Lancel where to, like... I don't even want to say it. He's telling Lancel not to get Cersei pregnant, basically. Damn. He said he does not deserve what Cersei and I are doing to him. That's sad. It's like everybody is a manipulation tool for this family. He said the only question would be whether Jaime cut him down in a jealous rage or Cersei murdered him first to keep Jaime from finding out. Tyrion's silver was on Cersei. Poor Lancel, he's getting played like a fiddle right now. Yikes. Tyrion's talking to Bronn now and he said, "My gentle sister seems to have mistaken me for Ned Stark." Bronn said, "I heard he was taller." Yikes. Cersei really doesn't realize like how easily Tyrion reads her. Like Tyrion knows what she's doing at every moment. Yikes. We're on our way to see Shay, and he's talking about the like guards that he's found for Shay, and he like made sure that they're all like super ugly men. I can't. He said men who prefer boys or men who prefer sheep. He said that Shay never complained, but why would she? She's never complained of me. I'm more hideous than all her guards. He like views himself so low. It's so sad. So this is kind of confusing me. So she is in like a secret area that you have to go through the brothel to get to? Question mark? That's crazy. He has her like very hidden away. Like she's like hidden away. He has to go through this brothel, talk to certain people to get there. And then he also has like a bunch of guards by her. Since when does Martin write smut? Ugh. That's great, honey. Yikes, Tyrion said he loves her, or he's thinking he loves her. He said, "Now I hold all the power, the city, the girl, this is what I was made for, and God's forgive me, but I do love it, and her." Tyrion, no. I do think it's interesting how little Shay we have in the book. Like, Shay is she's such a side character where I like kind of forget about Shay a lot. And then we go and see Shay and I'm like, oh yeah, Shay is here. But I'm interested to see what happens with that because like, does she get found out and the whole trial thing? Like, does that happen in the books? Have we gone up to that point yet? Because I have questions. Because we definitely know like Shay was pushing to go to the Red Keep and was pushing to see the Tower of the Hand and stuff like that. But we haven't really heard from her since. And she's so hidden away that I'm like, how would she get found out? Unless Varys snitched, but Varys is the only one that knows. So I'm really eager to see what happens with that. We're on to Arya. I love Arya chapters. Ooh. We have the Tower of Dread, the Widow's Tower, the Wailing Tower, the Tower of Ghosts, and King's Spire Tower. That's sick. Arya's like trying to find a positive. She said the work was hard, but no harder than walking miles. There was bread every day. That's so sad. Oh, Hot Pie's he's in the kitchens. Every once in a while she can go see Hot Pie. Accidentally, of course. Gendry's sent to the forge, though, and Arya hasn't really seen him. That sucks. Poor Arya. As for those she served with, she did not even want to know their names. That only made it hurt worse when they died. This poor girl. Ooh. The talk was that Lord Tywin planned to restore Harrenhal. So that's what they're all doing there? That's sick. That's crazy. So Arya is like a part of this group that's cleaning out the whaling tower. Lord Tywin had commanded that it be made fit for habitation again. Honestly, I would have loved to see that. I want somebody to restore Harrenhal because it would be so cool. Ooh. Harren and his sons had died in the Kingspire Tower. Arya said if there were ghosts in Harrenhal, they never troubled her. Well, that's good. Arya said, I don't have time for ghosts. Do you see these men outside my door? Damn. She's like thinking what Tywin would do if she just like confessed she was Arya. That's how you know it's bad. West sounds terrible. Damn. Her list is growing. She has so many people on her list now. If she let herself forget even one of them, how would she ever find him again to kill him? Don't forget him, Arya. I definitely have no idea where Arya's like full plot goes in the books, but where we're at right now. But I definitely feel like this list is getting completed if he ever finishes the books. There's no way he would make a list of like a hit list for Arya and she doesn't complete it. Damn. Harrenhal covered thrice as much as Winterfell? It's huge. Of course. Arya's using the fact that she's like so forgettable in a way. She's using that to listen to secrets. I love Arya. What a smart cookie. Ooh. And this is where she heard the rumor that Joffrey is not the rightful king. Yikes. Damn. Even Lannister men questioned how long Joffrey would hold the Iron Throne. So pretty much everybody has zero faith in Joffrey right now. Ooh, that's fun. We get to learn kind of early that potentially Beric Dondarrion comes back from the dead. She's like eavesdropping, and some of the guys said, Lorch killed the man at Rushing Fall, the mountain slain him twice. Got me a silver stag saying he doesn't stay dead this time either. That's super fun. Because in the show we didn't know about it until we were there with him. What are Bloody Mummers? It's kind of a cool name. Ooh, they're sellswords. The Brave Companions. That's fun. Damn. Arya thought, how many monsters does Lord Tywin have? That's true. Tywin has like such a big repertoire. I can never say that word right now. But he has so many people that he's like enlisting and using. Like he doesn't just use the resources he has, he uses like every resource around him. It's actually really smart. Ooh. She's hearing rumors about Roose Bolton and the Trident. Is this where she finds out about Robb? Aw, now she knows Robb is at River Run. Poor Arya. She's thinking about wanting to see Robb again, and she's like, I want to see Jon and Bran and Rickon and Mother, even Sansa. I'll kiss her and beg her pardons like a proper lady. She'll like that. That's so sad. Ooh, that's smart. She wants to go talk to the captives. That's weird. There's like Freys that are captives, and these guys just came and like ransomed them. First sign of like betrayal, I feel like. Like, why was that so easy for the Freys to ransom the Freys? That's definitely sus. Ooh, Lord Kerwin is here. Got a point. Arya's thinking maybe we could like buy out the sellswords too. She said father had always said that most sellswords would betray anyone for enough gold. It's not a bad plan, but we don't have any gold. No way. Lord Kerwin died. That was our one person we wanted to talk to. Damn, that sucks. This is interesting. She's still hearing a bunch of rumors. She's hearing that Tywin had sent ravens to the Eyrie, and that Tywin had bought a ton of silver to forge magic swords that would slay the Stark wargs. That's a weird comment. Are Starks, like, do they have a history of being wargs? And we can make magic swords with silver? I have questions. Damn. Arya's like looking at Tywin. She said there's something in his face that reminded Arya of her own father. Arya, don't say that. Your dad wouldn't like that comment very much. Jaqen's here. He's with the armory. Is it Lorch or Lork? I think it's Lorch. Armory, Lorch? I don't know. Names are hard, okay? He's in that group. Ooh, Arya's pissed. She thinks he didn't notice her. He definitely noticed her. Damn. Arya like lays down that night to go to bed. She says her list of names, and she almost added those 3 to the list of her names, but she was too tired to decide tonight. That's crazy. So what would have happened if she added Jaqen to that list? I don't know, I feel like it would have changed the outcome to a lot of things. Damn. See, this makes me think Arya is a warg too, because she's dreaming of wolves running wild through the woods. And that's Nymeria right now. So are all Starks wargs? Jaqen's here. I still think it's sus that Jaqen says the same thing that Midi says. He says only death may pay for life. I don't know, that's just kind of sus to me. Arya has her 3 wishes. He kissed her hair softly. Jaqen wants to protect her? It's a weird gesture from Jaqen. I wasn't expecting that. Damn, she's like thinking in her head who to list. And she said the Starks are at war with the Lannisters and she was a Stark, so she should kill as many Lannisters as she could. Sweet Arya. Honestly, she should have just listed Tywin. Like, imagine if she had listed Tywin. That would have been insane. But she doesn't think she can trust Jaqen to say that, because she doesn't know where Jaqen's loyalty lies. Oh, and she also wants to kill them herself. That's fair. Aw, she's thinking of what her dad said. How, like, if you sentence a man to die, you should be the one to carry it out. I didn't even think about that. Of course that would go through her head. So now she's avoiding Jaqen? No, Arya, kill him! We should have listed the mountain. That would have been insane. The mountain, if we're thinking of people only in Harrenhal, the mountain, Tywin, and Wes. Then we can sneak out. Well, honestly, the war would fall apart once Tywin was gone. She's in this room to like get their clothes or something. And the guys are telling this story about what they did at an inn. And it's foul. Cheswick? I think that's his name. Cheswick? Oh, hell no. These men are terrible. Then the son, her like brother, comes to defend her and they just kill him? You know what's wild to me is like the fact that they're all just sitting around a table like laughing, joking around, telling the story. Like, what the hell? Arya like ran out of the room, didn't get the clothes. So then she got canned. She told Jaqen Chiswick? I don't know how to say it. The guy who was telling that vile story. But Arya, we should have listed someone else. He's dead. Damn. It wasn't Heron, it was me. I am the ghost in Harrenhal. That's pretty dope. Damn, that's crazy. I love Arya chapters. They're so good. But I think it's really interesting. I'm interested to see. I don't really remember who else she lists. I know the last one she uses to get them out, right? I wonder if it's the same in the book, but I can't remember who the second one is. So, or was it the Tickler? I feel like it was the Tickler. No. It was when she got caught reading Tywin's note, but she's not talking to Tywin in the book, so who's gonna be the second one? I'm interested to see what she does with this, but it's really fun. And I feel like Arya should be listing these big names, but at the same time, reading it from her perspective, it makes a little more sense now because she doesn't know if she can trust Jaqen. So if she were to list somebody like the Mountain or Tywin, that could like, he could snitch on her, or like he could not do it and kill her instead. Like she doesn't really know who to trust, and he's already like fighting with the Lannisters, so can't really trust him to begin with. But Tywin and the Mountain would have been insane names to list, but I feel like it would have made the book too easy. But I'm really eager to see what happens with Arya. I feel like it's going to be interesting because I still want to know if she like winds up in Dondarrion's group or what happens with that, because I remember during this time of like Arya's story, I was like kind of confused on what was going on a little bit. So I'm really eager to see what happens in the book. But those are some great chapters this week, y'all. That's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.